Hey everyone, and welcome back to Art a la Carte. In today's video I am going to try something new, something that I haven't drawn before. And you're probably thinking, you've never drawn Disney princesses before? No, I've drawn lots of Disney princesses before, but I decided to tackle this piece in a style and a method that I'd never done before. So generally, when I go to create a piece, I sketch up either a thumbnail or a quick sketch, then I render the sketch out and get the finalized line, and then determine whether I'm going to ink it in or just keep it in pencil, but I have the design out there in all of its detail. And then I begin to lay in my colors and build it up. But for this one, I decided I'm not going to have any kind of line work at the beginning. I'm just going to lay in blobs of color in the general shape and direction of the painting, but not precise. I'm not creating a line with the paintbrush. I'm not etching out a face. I'm just laying in some color, and then I want to work around that color and see if I can chisel out this drawing from the colors. I knew this was going to be a big challenge. I didn't know if I was going to succeed or if this would fail, but that's kind of the point of this exercise, is to tackle something in art not for the purposes of succeeding, but for the purposes of learning. I knew that, hey, by doing this, I might discover a technique that I hadn't tried before that I really like. I'll definitely learn something about the art supplies. This was a project about learning. And a lot of times as an artist, especially as you kind of really get into your groove, into your style, it's scary to jump out of the box and try to create something in a way, with a different formula. Instead of doing ABC, you do XYZ. You change up your formula. So this is my journey to create a Rapunzel piece, but starting with a totally different foundation. So to answer a couple quick questions that I usually get, I'm using mixed media paper and a whole bunch of mixed media. So at first I'm using just regular watercolors, and then after a while I'll go in with Copic markers, color pencils, gouache, inks, all sorts of different things. I think I even use a glue stick. Not actual glue, but I use an actual glue stick to dab on paint. So the inspiration from this piece actually came from a promotional photo that I saw at Disneyland, and it had Rapunzel and she was holding a lantern, and I was like, oh, this is so beautiful. And I wanted to draw a piece like this. And I wanted to kind of have the glow of the lantern around her, and then to have little glowing orbs of light from the lanterns in the sky around her. And that was kind of my goal. Other than that, wasn't sure what I was going to do. So I laid down my watercolors, again, just in blobs. I wasn't trying to etch out anything. I kind of went a little bit with the shape of the hair, but again, I wasn't like super trying to get all, get super precise. I knew I could go back in with darker colors and kind of crisp up edges, but I just wanted to see, hey, if I could just lay down colors, what would happen? After you lay in your watercolor, you're going to need to let it dry before you begin throwing in, especially like markers or color pencils over top of it. You can either let it air dry, or I used my hair dryer and just dried it that way. And then I started to begin to chisel out the detail with the Copic markers and color pencils. Now there were very few parts that I actually kind of sketched in, and that was like the face area, just because I knew that I would eventually need those thin crisp lines anyway. But everything else, I just tried to build up from there, which I think the most challenging part was her hair, because I didn't know how the braid was going to go. I knew it was going to be in that really detailed braid, but since I didn't have the braid sketched out, it's really hard to figure out where I would push my darks and where I would pull out my highlights. So I just kind of throw color in there and hope for the best. I think the most challenging part of this entire piece was the time I had to put into it. because I'm totally willing to invest, you know, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 8 hours on a piece if I have a good idea that it's going to turn out. It's harder to work on a piece and think this piece is just going to end up in the trash bin because it's not going to turn out. And then the reason is because I have so many projects and things that are on my list to do that would benefit for the 3 hours that I worked on this piece. And so as you're working on a piece and it's starting to fail on you, all I can think of is, you know, well, there's that I could work on, or this I could work on, and I'm just wasting time if this fails. But what you have to do to remind yourself as an artist is that projects like this, especially artwork that is kind of more experimental, isn't about seeing an end result. It's about the learning process. Throughout this entire piece, I'm picking up new skills. I'm learning new things about my art medium, how things work together, my shadow and values. There's a ton of things that I learned from that. And so that is what my time invested is. It isn't about the finished piece. If I get a good finished piece, booyah, bonus. But what I will get from it is experience. And that is valuable. And you get experience by pushing yourself to do something that you haven't tried or you're not comfortable. If I just draw the same way again and again and again and again, yeah, I'm going to get good pieces. I'm going to get what I know, but my knowledge and experience of art is going to grow very little because I'm not pushing myself into new territory to learn. So even though it's not my favorite thing to do, I like to stick with a formula that I know is going to work. It is super important to push yourself to make that jump into a new style. You don't have to stay there, but test the waters out, see if you like it. It's like trying out new food. You just are not going to know if you're going to like broccoli unless you actually try broccoli. Did I like this style? It turned out nice. I enjoyed the piece. I think personally I would have more fun with it had I had a sketch and a better idea. I think I could have been a little bit more creative with it, but I definitely wouldn't have learned as much. I learned a ton from doing it this way. One thing I really pushed myself, and again I was like, am I going to mess this up? Is I wanted to have a glowing reflection from the lantern. Not just so much light glowing on her, but the color of the glow. So I introduced a lot of orangey, peachy tones, especially to her dress, to get that glowing effect. And I think that turned out really great. And I hadn't really experimented a lot with that before, or at least not lately. So that was a fun thing, and it kind of excited to try other pieces like that. But hopefully as you're watching this video, this is encouraging you to pull out maybe some art supplies that you haven't practiced with in a while, to give it a go. Whether or not your piece succeeds or fails, just remember it's about the learning process. What new skills are you learning? What new things are you learning? Hey, that doesn't work. Because learning how things don't work is just as important as learning how things do work. If you enjoyed this video, I encourage you to check out some of the other videos on my channel. And if you're brand new, make sure to hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any future videos. I post 3 new videos each week on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. Well, thanks for hanging out with me, and until next time, God bless you guys, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye!